Hello there everybody, this is Alex from Hardcoring Guys, bringing my guide for God of War 3 on Chaos Difficulty. Today we are doing Part 5 entitled The City of Olympia. And so I want to say something real quick about these next couple of parts. They're going to have some weird cut-ins and fade-outs. I had to pretty much splice this video with the next video that I recorded. Everything should be back to normal pretty much after these next couple of parts. Not that you guys would probably care too much anyway. Or, you know, some people might not exactly notice the full-on cuts or splices. But, yeah, I pretty much for some stupid reason decided to cut this part during that part after Gaia, where that door is that you gotta fight all those undead guys at. And I cut the part there instead of doing the entire Helios thing in one video. So, oops. But yeah, that's more of a me problem, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then for this area, you're pretty much stuck using the new Claws of Hades, and I'm pretty sure you have to use them. I think they kind of force you to use them in that section. So, I mean, they're undead, like basic undead soldiers, not the armored ones. So they're not that difficult to deal with, I would assume, or say so. So they shouldn't really give you that much problem. If they really do, I mean, just grab them and then do the usual, you know, grab, sprint around the room, or, you know, grab, throw, grab, triangle, any of the sort, you know, whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, so this particular part might end up being a little bit more longer than it was supposed to be. I'm not exactly sure on how long this part's going to be, though. And that's kind of what scares me, because I really would rather not record an entire 40-minute video right now. But if I have to, if things come down to it, then so be it. It is what it is. But yeah, after going through Hades, you basically come right back out into the Forge. And you got to go back to that spot where you have to, you know, crank the thing, rotate the whole platform around. And now we have to fight the statue guys. And I think we might have to fight dogs. It's been a bit since I recorded this. Even though I think I actually recorded this today. What am I talking about? I already forgot what I did. Yeah, I recorded, I think 4 whole sessions today. So, that was pretty good. We got past Hermes. But anyway, so, you know, statues, pretty much the same way that I take them out all the time is I just go for parries. I'm using Sparta here just to kind of just make them go by a little bit faster. I just don't want to deal with, you know, these guys too much or for too long. There's only 3 that spawn. The 4th one never spawns in. Either he's just never alive, or he just says, you know, screw that, I'm not fighting with Kratos. But dogs will spawn after you get the first statue kill. And what I do is I just start targeting the dogs. If it gets pretty hectic, just use magic. Just use the blades magic. So that way you can kind of get that nice AoE if things start to become kind of a bit of a struggle. And don't be afraid to use magic too much, because I think the chest, I think it does respawn outside in the direction that we have to go. I think so. But yeah, just use rage, use magic whenever you need to. If you're confident with yourself, then go for parries, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, statues, after you've already fought one bunch of them, they shouldn't really be too hard after that. They're typically kind of slow and pretty easy to predict what they're going to do. And if you really wanted to truly, I guess, probably cheese this part a little bit better, you could, you know, well, again, yeah, use magic, but, you know, use the dogs, kick them into the statue enemies, and that should get you at least a decent chunk of damage on them. Also, the City of Olympia, I would argue, is probably one of, well, maybe not nowadays, but it definitely was, like, my favorite level back in the day. And I would say mainly because of the demo when the game was coming out. And I got so excited and so hyped up to play God of War 3 back in, 2010. Well, I mean, it came out in March 2010, I think. Got so excited for it. We even pre-ordered it and everything. I got that little pre-order bonus, that Chimera, skin or whatever that came with it. So that was kind of cool. I think this one does respawn. I don't remember if I ever used it or not. I might have saved it for this very moment, so that's probably why. I'm just going to say that I probably saved it. It probably didn't respawn. We'll just go with that. But yeah, now we got to go through the Hyperion gates to basically get to the new area. And, yeah, actually finally get out of Hades. Kind of forgot that's where we were for a while, to be honest with you, because it doesn't look as Hades as it usually does. But I'm kind of more so used to like God of War 1 Hades than I am like any other interpretation. That and Tartarus. Tartarus from God of War Chains of Olympus. Also, I saw a chest down there, and I'm pretty sure we've already gotten that chest. If they didn't spawn another one, I'm pretty sure that should be the one that you get very early on when you're first starting to come, through here. But yeah, City of Olympia used to be, well, the City of Olympia used to be my favorite level, mainly because of the demo. And it was so cool back then. Like, oh man, I just couldn't wait, And then it finally came out, and then I enjoyed it. And then after years, I kind of stopped enjoying God of War 3 that much. And then in my recent playthrough right now, as in like, for this guide, I'm starting to kind of feel the love again for it. For sure. I definitely think that in terms of combo potential, this one definitely has the best out of all of that. And that kind of helps God of War 3, in my opinion. I feel like maybe, just maybe, the reason why I didn't like God of War 3 is because I kind of missed some of the point of God of War 3's combat, I didn't really exactly go too hard into understanding like combos and stuff or any of that. I didn't really think much about it because back then it was just more so like I just want to get through, I just want to destroy. And Chaos Mode, it's about the same as any other God of War. Like you really want to kind of just get through and not go too crazy, but yeah, those combo things do kind of help out even just a little bit. Especially again, because I'm going to sound like a broken record, but yeah, using the bow. So starting off with this fight is particularly pretty annoying because if you don't not understand, I sound like a douche every time I say that. I don't mean to. I'm weird like that, all right? I apologize, but if you're not used to the parries, how about that? That sounds way better. I sound like a complete fucking asshole. If you're not used to the parries yet, this part might be kind of a bit more harder. However, if you're good at the parries, then you're probably okay. But if you're not, and sometimes you get surrounded like I do, then you could always just use magic to kind of get your way out. Now, something else too is getting these guys in circle, which is going to be kind of tough, mainly because they have more health or more armored up, and you can't just grab them. Normally, you have to wait for them to be in circle to even grab them. Also, you have dogs on you, which is a pain in the ass. And I would suggest using magic whenever you get a chance. If you get too surrounded and you feel like you're about to get killed, or that it might be too much of a struggle to do. Something else to kind of keep in mind is you can actually knock these guys off the cliffside here. So try to maybe bait some of the enemies into this cliff here and throw them off. Either with circle X or just use the square run sprint. And then knock off like a good couple of them, or even like the square finisher. At this point in time, I still think I have level 2 blades, so I don't believe I have the triple triangle or double triangle into square combo just yet, which would be very handy, yes, but I don't think I have it. Something else I love that God of War 3 added was the whole like wall splat thing. I'm so grateful for that. It is such a huge benefit to the game. It's so huge. It saves you so much trouble with combat situations. Well, mainly to enemies that can be knocked into walls. Like, Gorgons and undead soldiers and stuff. And just basically continue like a combo thing. It's something I never really thought of too much when I was younger. But nowadays, it's like, yeah, this is clearly, obviously something that I'm glad that got added. And it is such a help. Something else too is like whenever you do like a finisher, you could always just switch the bow Apollo to kind of get the enemy in the air for a little bit. That way you can potentially use some other type of thing, to maybe set up another finisher, if you have it, or possibly even, while they're in the air, go for an L1 circle, which we're going to be seeing later when we get to the sirens. But, using the L1 circle thing to kind of like get that air grab, and then after that, you can either just grab them in the air and slam them on the ground, or even possibly just well, actually, no. I think when you use L1 circle on undead guys while they're in the air, I think you knock them away. So if that's the case, then you could use that to maybe knock them off the cliff. But yeah, that cliff. A lot of the time in this game, if you ever have like a situation where there's like a ledge or a cliff or something where you could just knock them off at, I'd say go for it. This is chaos mode, so do whatever you really feel like you want to do, of course, but. It definitely helps, and it might seem a bit cheesy, but like I said, this is basically chaos mode, and the game wants to cheese you no matter what. I may have forgotten a chest down there. I don't remember if there was. I didn't want to check. I saw, of course, you know, the breakables, but I just said, I'm already going. I'm not going to deal with this. But right around here is where the video would have normally ended. And that would have been, you know, fine and dandy, like 15 minutes. Yeah, sure, whatever. But let's not do that. Let's actually just do the entirety of the city of Olympia. So that way, you know, we knock out 2 stones with 1 bird. And it's not a stupidly short video for no apparent reason. So anyway, coming into here, again, we do have a ledge that we can use. It's a bit harder to get it to work, but, you know, you can use this to your advantage. It's just, again, trying to get anybody there and bait them. And plus, you know, I'm being kind of silly and not standing near the ledges to throw them off at, so that's kind of more my fault. Ignore my own... Well, okay, don't ignore my faults. Actually pay attention to them and then use them and say, hey, you know, he made mistakes here. I'm not going to do the same thing, so... That's probably what I would say is probably the better part of my guides is, you know, watching me make mistakes and then learning from that, you know, and seeing, like, what I could have done better. And then you guys can try for yourselves and then be like, yeah, I did it. And, you know, it worked for me. It worked way better. I didn't get hit like, you know, like your loser ass did. So, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, after you finish off the first wave, you're going to have to deal with the centaur. And during this fight, I did find a spot that actually somehow worked as a decent cheese spot. So I'll show you that soon. So once he spawns in, these guys are going to start to spark. And when they do that, they're going to slam the ground. And those are blockable and parryable. So keep that in mind if you want to use that to your advantage at any time. And yeah, again, I don't have level 2 yet, so I can't really do the cool stuff. I can't do the arrows with it, which would be nice, but I kind of got surrounded for a bit. And I'm also trying to, you know, break in some damage and just use all my magic just on these guys. Because I believe there is a chest down here that you can use. If not, there's at least one up there with the Chimera. So at first I was thinking, you know, I'm just going to use these guys and just, you know, run into the centaur and all that. But that didn't work out. Luckily for me, this is just more, I guess you could say this is more of like a luck thing that happened, but I'm not sure how well this is going to work. But I pretty much got to a point where, you know, I was using Rage of Sparta to kind of knock this guy back into this ramp right here. And as you can see, it's only just me and him now. And that tears down so much of the competition and so much of the difficulty by far, for sure. Because nobody else is wanting to come up here and fight, so it's just me and him. I can just use my parries. I can just hit him when I can, and feel free to do whatever I want. But, you know, of course, if you would rather just use, like, say, the undead soldiers to get, like, that sprint attack, that's always something you can go for, too. Which would be handy. It's just that I kind of got him stuck up here, and I used that situation to my advantage, and I guess you could say found a potential new cheat. Not cheat, but a new cheese. I mean, somebody probably figured that out before I did, probably, but I don't know. You know, I don't really watch God of War 3 videos on how to play game better. At least not until today. Yeah, I'm gonna say that right now, and I'll probably say it in the video when I get there. But during the Hermes fight, I was trying to figure out, is there a better way than what I'm doing? And well, I couldn't find anything better than what I was doing. At least something that I wanted to use to my advantage. So yes, I did actually look up a video to potentially help me figure out, is there a better way to beat Hermes? Is there an easier strat than what I had? And I couldn't find anything, so I just stuck with what I did. And it worked out well enough, I guess. I mean, I saw people using the Claws of Hades for it, because I guess, you know, the AoE sort of that comes with it. But for me, I'd rather just use the long-range blades and get like a singular attack instead. That's just me. And that's for a future video, which I think is like a couple of videos ahead of now, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm not going to bother with civilians. I mean, I have orbs. It's not a big deal. It's just, you know, they kind of waste my time, I guess you could say. But hey, you know, +5 orbs if you want them. But starting off, we're going to be fighting the Chimera now. And my strat is relatively simple and straightforward. Pretty much just kind of play keep away, at least when the snake is active. because the snake has a couple of different attacks, one of which is like a poison thing that actually stuns you for a second or two, and you don't want that to you don't want that to happen, obviously. And there's like that big tail swipe. It's a bit hard. It's a bit harder to probably telegraph than the actual poison is, but just keep your eye out for it. You know, stay on your toes, stay away, stay as far away as you can. Let the ram kind of charge into you, and then just block that attack and go for a parry. Then you have the lion head you have to fight, which pretty much just like usually does like a triple fire combo. Super readable, super telegraphed. That attack right there, blocked, it can't be parried. Has a pretty decent wind up, so you can kind of tell when they're going to do it. I love fighting Chimera because I love enemies that just have at least readable attacks, And then, of course, stay away, and then whenever you run away, use the bow to kind of get some extra damage in. And then after that, you defeated phase 2. Now on to what I would say is definitely the harder of the phases. And this is the actual ram head that actually can use a fire ground spit. But if you dodge just at the right moment, or just dodge just early enough, you won't have to deal with it too much. And of course, something else too, if you keep away too far, he'll use his ram, his ram attack. And, block that, parry that. And then just basically, wait for the fire, dodge, back up, shoot with arrows, and there you go. You can really make a lot of enemies in this game, mincemeat, if you just use the arrows in your combos. That's something that I can't keep, or that I can't particularly sell too much, because it's just such a good... It's such a good, maybe I said that wrong, I don't know. It's such a good tool to have that just, not only just, you can have constant, damage at a decent range, but it's fast. It recharges really fast. And again, it does good damage too, especially level 2 bow. So, that's what I'm kind of glad about this guide, is it kind of made me start to actually want to utilize things, and then effectively want to be a better guide person. And I'm kind of glad for that, It's a good start to the new year, I guess. Even though technically we started God of War 3 last year, but hey, it is what it is. So there's a ton of harpies here. You could theoretically just break all of them if you wanted to. I mean, you don't really get a lot of orbs out of it, but, if that's something you want to do, go for it. But I'd be careful. And then once you land down here, there are going to be a couple of spots that you can actually knock these guys off at. If you go to like the right side of the screen, there's going to be like a bit of a ledge that you kind of have to knock, enemies above it and then off. But typically when it comes to like these small ledges like this, you can actually knock the enemy on top of it, and then they'll just eventually fall off. But yeah, again, if they get too much, then I'd say just go for, magic, and then hopefully you can get somebody in circle, and then just use that to your advantage too. Parry the hell out of them. These guys, I would highly recommend learning the parries for, especially these guys if you haven't yet. I mean, granted, if you're playing on cast mode, then I assume by now, you probably most likely are pretty well versed with the parry system. However, there could always be that chance that somebody might not, so I just want to, cover all bases, I guess you could say. But I also tend to forget that I'm playing this on chaos mode, and that people might actually have more, most likely, quite a bit more knowledge about the game than, say, like a new casual player might. But then again, you could also say this guide could be used for those that want to get into the game and try to help them on their normal playthroughs too. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be just a complete chaos guide. Honestly, maybe I'm kind of tooting my own horn here just a little bit, but if it were me, I would much rather listen to somebody who plays the game on chaos mode tell me about some cool tricks and tips on how to beat a game than somebody who just gives like the most barren basic tips. Because I feel like, somebody who plays on hard at least has some veteran status and knows a bit more. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about just like in general, like I guess just to kind of shout out channels, like you got Seraphim 17, and then you got like Big Benedict that I used to watch. And, you know, they play a lot of games on hard, sure, but you could argue that a lot of their tips and advice could be useful on things that are even just on normal mode, too. So, just saying. Maybe somebody could view me in that same light. You never know. Yeah, and now I'm sounding more narcissistic than I should. As always. I don't mean to do it, it just comes out, I guess. I'm a sociopath, apparently. Also, I forgot to blow up the bramble. That's something that I should have done. It's also kind of neat that you can run into enemies with the bramble thing, which is pretty cool. But yeah, my silly ass kind of forgot that we don't need this for anything. You just use it to blow up the enemies. That's it. I mean, they only spawn one, and for some reason, I guess my brain thought, like, oh, well, they'll probably respawn another one, you know, in case it breaks. But I don't want to go back and go get it, and it's like, well, that's not the case. Also, I thought there was something here, but maybe there might not be. Actually, come to think of it, maybe I should do a test on this, actually, at some point. The only problem with God of War 3, though, is, or just God of War in general, you can't go back to other missions, which sucks, or other parts of the level. You have to play the entire game again to get to that part. But I'm curious if you can use that bramble on that wall and blow it up. I don't think I've ever done that before, so that would be new to me. By the way, if you see me stopping on ledges and like climbable objects, it's because I kind of forget like what the drop button is half the time. I know what the pull-up button is because it's usually always the same in every game, but I don't remember if it's like down X or if it's like R1 or if it's like L1 or whatever. And then you have games like, you know, this with God of War 3, when you're climbing down a wall, you hold R1 to slide down. But then you have games like, I think, Ghost of Sparta, and it's like down at X, and then Chains of Olympus, I think, is like L. So, I don't know why they change it every time. It might just be like an in joke with the devs. I don't know. But, so, starting with this, Cyclops appears. Actually, more so like a troll Cyclops. I think that's what they're supposed to be. We'll call it the Club Cyclops, I guess. These guys, you know, again, super telegraphed attacks. They have, like, just the very bare minimum of things they can do. They don't have a lot of health either. At least he doesn't. So, watch out for that foot. Attack whenever he roars. When you roll away, just, you know, shoot him with the arrows. And just continue to combo him. When you're going to go break the shields, I would suggest using the triangle button to break all of them at once. To save you a few extra attacks, because this is on a timer. And then once he starts to fall down, that's a good sign that, you know, he's pretty much giving up, and then you're practically almost about to finish him off. You have at least one more attack, maybe two if you're lucky, to, you know, to attack people with before you completely finish him off. So, yeah. Cyclops, not too difficult. It's just one. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. If he gets too hard, run away, use Bow of Apollo. He can't do shit. And even if he does, like, charge at you, just dodge before he gets to you, and there you go. And then, yeah, we're going to go ahead and finish off Helios. So this is, I think, what, the second god right now we've killed? Third. Yeah, Poseidon, Hades, and now Helios. So we're definitely going through the gods at a pretty decent pace. And now we have the new item, the Head of Helios. It's pretty okay. I don't use it very often, to be honest with you. It's mostly, for me, just like a secrets finder / get through the dark areas. And it does have a stun to it if you hold down, you know, triangle and then use that. So there's that. Again, I'm kind of just talking to people that might not know about it, rather than people that, you know, are already like people that beat the game. I'm just talking, well, mainly just to talk. That's just kind of how it works, I guess. And just give any piece of advice throughout that I can. So fun. Oh, I guess the video's over, actually. So, yeah. Sorry about that. See you guys next time.